So that there is my my Baltimore, Ohio 444. It was actually built for the excuse me, is it a 444? I'm sorry. It's a yeah, it's a 444 triplex. No, not triplex. Sorry about that. How would they call it? It's the same type of chassis as a T1, except for the rear pistons. I mean, the pistons for the rear drivers are in the rear. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by another train. I had to stop that. So it is a 444. It's built on a out of two Rivarossi chassis that I modified and put them together. I did not make this articulated. It doesn't articulate. It doesn't need to. I did make my T1 articulate because of the overall length of the wheelbase, with the pistons in the middle, extended it long enough that it wouldn't, it really would struggle on a 22-inch radius turn. So I articulated it. That's in another video. This particular model is, excuse me, it was what they called a duplex frame. I don't know why I said triplex. It's a duplex, not articulated. They only made one of these. It was a failure because the pistons were in the back. That made the firebox smaller, and the heat would damage the cylinders, so they didn't last long. It's not prototypical. Obviously, I made it out of rivarossi parts. There are some things that are pretty close. The wheel configuration, obviously. The fact that there's two smokestacks up here is correct. The bell being up here is correct. This I forgot to chop off and move back. I'm not going to change that. I haven't put any handrails on it yet, but well, I haven't numbered it yet either. But it's a Baltimore, Ohio. The front wheels are not driven by the motor; they're free spinning. So it is only 8-wheel drive, but it moves all right. I've got to make a few adjustments to it. I really haven't had time, but I just figured I would run it today. Have a little fun with it. It's pulling some passenger cars. It's strictly DC. Wasn't planning on making it DCC. There's really no need for it, especially where it's it's just a homemade train, just to have fun. It does not have a rivarossi motor in it. It's a 3-pole skew wound 3-pole motor in it. Bought it off eBay real cheap. I didn't put a flywheel on it. I probably should have, but it goes all right. It's actually a little too fast for its own good. It's got decent pulling power. It will pull 25-30 cars before it really starts having wheel slip. Could use a little bit more weight. But it runs pretty good. It's a good runner. You hear how quiet it runs. Doesn't have that Rivarossi signature series signature sound to it. I am in the process of collecting some parts. I'm going to build two locomotives. I'm going to build a 686 turbine locomotive. I'm almost done collecting parts. I need a few more things to build it. And I am also going to build I'm going to build my own version of, most likely, an Allegheny, which is, I believe, a 4666 locomotive. Instead of using 69-inch drivers, I'm going to use 74-inch drivers. It will be an articulated locomotive. It will be fairly big. It probably will be as big as a big boy. It will have dual motors. And if everything goes right, it'll probably pull 60 or 70 cars, which I don't even have 60 or 70 cars, but that's probably what it'll pull. I'm in the middle of collecting parts for that. I have all the drivetrain parts. I just do not have the motors that I want to put in it, and I haven't started building the shell yet. But once I start that project, I'll start filming it and posting it. I believe I am going to build the turbine locomotive first. I'm going to try to make that as prototypical as I can. But we'll see what happens. That is actually an incline on the track, so when you see the locomotive slow down, it's actually going uphill. And it's going uphill, and then right there it starts to come downhill. This is the floor of an attic, which is very, very crooked. It's got like a 2% grade on its own. Maybe a 1.5% grade. So I'm just take a better look at this. I haven't added the class lights yet or anything like that, but I will sooner or later. So this was a this shell here was a 464 shell, and I cut it and extended it. As you can see, it looks very similar to that, except it's longer. I added all this detail myself. Those lines in the firebox boiler, whatever it is. I could have did a little bit better of a job, but I wasn't, you know, wasn't being too picky. It's never going to see a club layout because there aren't any where I live, and I wouldn't want to get laughed at. This is just for my enjoyment. Stop that for a minute. Let me show you something here. What I got here is a Bachmann 484 Niagara that I bought off of eBay for 29 bucks. It was suffering from the split axle joiners. These ones here actually don't split. This was the second version. They just come off the axles themselves. They don't normally split. So I dug out the glue and re-glued them all. I did all one side, quartered them, quartered all three, glued them so they were quartered correctly. And this set right here, the last set, I don't know if you can see it. If you look really good, you can tell that it is not in spec. So what happens is when it hits the turns, the locomotive slows down very dramatically because the wheels basically just barely fit in between the rails. So I have to snap that loose and re-glue them. It does run. I was successful. Right now I got this set of wheels. These are from a Tyco. They're just Mickey Moused in there because these were missing. The front truck, if you can tell, is a rivarossi truck. The front one was destroyed. This would be where the pivot would have gone on it, on the rivarossi truck. What I did was it's actually upside down and it's glued to the Bachmann piece. So if you ever have one that's broken or missing, you can repair it. I can, if I want, solder a wire on this and have it so it makes the electrical connection. I don't know if I'm going to keep, see, this is what you can see how far off this is. You can see the spacing between these wheels and these, how far off. If you look really good, you can tell that the, I don't know if you can really tell with the, on this On the camera, actually, you can't tell. They look like they're all right, but they're not. They're not spaced out right. So when it goes through the turns, it causes the locomotive to slow down. I'll pause the camera and we'll put this on the track and I'll show you what I mean. Give me 1 minute. All right, so I got the Niagara on the track. I put this piece of metal on here just for now. There's absolutely no weight in this tender, and the spring that is on the front set of truck on the tender for some reason lifts the tender up off the track a little bit when you're pulling things, and it will derail. So just bear with me. Now it's got the original rubber tires, traction tires on the rear set of drivers that Bachmann used on some of their trains. Some of them didn't have traction tires. When they don't have traction tires, they won't pull more than 6 or 7 cars. They're horrible unless you can find room to put weight in it. This particular train is pretty heavy, but it's still not heavy enough. Anyway, let's get going here. So it does have a little bit of wheel slipping. It's a little noisy. I forgot to oil up the gear when I had it apart, so it does squeak every now and then. You can see that it has a little bit of wheel slip. That's going up a hill. I don't know if I'm going to fix this chassis, like make it better and leave it original, or if I'm going to build my own chassis out of a rivarossi. I actually wanted a Niagara, but I want one that's going to be, reliable and quiet, not, a beat up Bachmann chassis. You can see that the train slows down when it gets in the corners, and that's because the gauge is off on a set of the wheels, so it's kind of binds up right there. I mean, at speed it's alright. You'll see it slow down right there. See how noisy it is? It's got a pancake motor in it, like the Tycos. So the brass gear on it squeaks a little bit. Those are New York Central cars that it's pulling. And it's squeaking. And you can tell that it has that the wheels are out of gauge because it hobbles a little bit when it goes through the corner. See it? Now I could just, I gotta break it free and re-glue it, and then we'll see how it works. If it works all right, I might leave it like that. If not, I might take this train here. This has the same size drivers. They're excuse me, I think 74-inch. Lop off the back of this frame, add a set of drivers, and use this chassis on that body, and then of course change the motor. This I bought for 17 bucks off of eBay. It didn't work. I actually fixed it. It runs very well for an original rivarossi, but I have different plans for this. That's going to be a project. But this thing was in pieces when I got it. two of the rail joint, axle joiners were missing. Excuse me. Yeah, two of them were missing, and the gear, the one with the gear on it, the teeth were gone. So I used pieces parts from other Bachmann trains that I put my own chassis in, like my this one here. Oh, that one's original. That one I repaired when I bought it. It was broken. That runs all right. Yeah, this one here has a rivarossi, a modified rivarossi chassis in it. I added that last set of drivers on it. So I think I'm going to do the same thing for this, because I like the style of the locomotive. I don't like the elephant ears, the smoke deflectors. I think I'm going to take them off. If you manage to watch this boring video this long, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these smoke deflectors. I don't particularly care for them. When you pull them off, the steers are exposed, so I'd have to add the plastic and everything and restripe this. That's not a problem. I do that in my sleep. Like I said, for a broken Bachmann, I think I paid 29 bucks for it. The tax and the shipping was almost as much as the damn train. I managed to fix it one night. It does run. It actually doesn't run too bad until it hits a corner. It doesn't drain a lot. It's pretty efficient for an old for an old pancake motor. The pancake motor, when I got it, the springs were all compressed because they had overheated. The commutator was a little scarred. I had to clean that up, and I put new springs and new brushes in it. So it slows down in the corners, and it's not because it's going uphill. This corner over here, it slows down too, and that's going downhill. You'll see the train will pick up speed, and then it slows down right there. See it slow down? I mean, I don't even think you could run this thing on an 18-inch radius turn the way it is right now. I don't think they were designed to run with the wheelbase being as long as they are. I really don't think that they were designed to run on 18s anyway. I really don't have any 18s except for in the middle loop and the reverse loop. There's a couple scattered around the layout, but there's not that many. But it works. It works all right. Still needs some work. So just to run it back again, what I did was I cleaned out the glue. The axle joiners were not split. Oh, actually, excuse me. One was split in half. I opened up with a razor blade, scuffed it up, the crack, kept the razor blade in the crack, put crazy glue in it, not the gel, the regular glue, squirted it in there, not a lot, pulled the razor blade out, and squeezed it with very lightly with a pair of needle nose until for about 5 minutes. And then I cleaned the glue off the wheels themselves where the little stud came out of for for the axle joiner to go on there. I dug out all the glue. There was a lot of glue in there from the originally from where it was put together. Dug that all out, made sure everything fit snug. Glued one side on all four rims. Lined up the other side. Made sure it was at 90 degrees. Had it just, the axle was just slightly into the axle joiner. Put glue in it and then pressed it together. This particular one here, I screwed up. I didn't get it all the way in, so it dried like that. One of them was slightly unquarted. I had to pull the train apart again and fix it. I had to snap it loose, take the glue back out, and start all over. On these Bachmann trains, on the older ones here, this is a screw. The rest of them, that's a pin, it's pressure fitted. This one here, front one is a pressure fitted. And this one here that has the valve gear on it has a very, very tiny, tiny C-clip on it that you have to use the tip of an X-Acto knife or a very small tool and very carefully open up the C-clip to remove the gear off the stud. Now, when I repaired this, I didn't do that. I removed everything else and left that intact. I did not want to mess with it. I didn't want to lose it. But that one there is what we're talking about. There's a little tiny clip, C-clip that goes around there. If you really can't see it with the camera, but it is so small. You don't want to lose that, or you're going to have to improvise. And you can see that this is a threaded screw. Now, a lot of them don't have a screw on them. They just have a pressure, a pin that forces itself in. But that particular one has a screw on it. And this is the one that had the gear on it. So these things are repairable. You can also go online and search for axle joiners for Bachmann trains. There is a couple companies out there that 3D print them. You just have to make sure you get the right one for the particular model that you have. This particular train, there's nothing fancy about the axle joiners. There's no square block in the middle of them to keep them in the center of the track, or for any smoke, smokers or any, or there's nothing. They're just basically a piece of round stock with a hole drilled right through the center of them. If you're good at finding stuff and making stuff, you could actually make your own with the 3D printer. They're fairly simple. I didn't bother having anybody do that for me. I wasn't planning on keeping this chassis. To be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to run that good. So maybe I will keep it and just do a little bit more work on it. Just to keep it original, I guess. I don't know. I do like the body style. I love the tender. It's got the centipede on it. So, I don't know. Anyway, this is a long, boring video. Thanks for watching anyway. Have a good evening.